basic question regarding international trade is why? Why should a country trade with other countries? What are the benefits from exchanging goods and services and perhaps ideas and cultures with countries that are different from our own? Well, as it turns out, there are many good reasons for why it is beneficial to trade with people who are located in different countries. But right now, I want to simply make a few comments. Let's start with a proposition that any trade that occurs between two countries must be beneficial to both countries as long as such trade is voluntary. This basic premise, which Adam Smith argued more than 250 years ago, indicates that any restriction to such trade will make the trading partners worse off. Of course, this blanket statement is too simple, since trade between two people located in two different countries may indeed be beneficial to them, while at the same time negatively affect other people that are not involved in the transaction. For example, when we decide to buy imported products, domestic producers of those same products will be negatively affected. Also, there might be externalities associated with international trade, such as increased pollution or loss of intellectual property. Let's ignore these complications for now and just focus on the basic case for free trade. The number one case for free trade derives from the gains that can be obtained from Divisional Labor, specialization, and exchange. This argument is probably obvious. None of us produce for ourselves all the things that we need and want to consume. Instead, we specialize in some activity that allows us to earn an income and then use that income to buy stuff: food, clothing, housing, healthcare, cars, that are of course produced by others. For example, I specialize in teaching economics in exchange for money that I spend on food and clothes and everything else that I need. Each of us is, in essence, exporting the goods and services that we produce with our labor in exchange for imports of goods and services produced by others. And this division of labor allows all of us to consume more than would be possible if we instead tried to be self-sufficient and decided to produce everything we need by ourselves. I would be very skinny, almost naked, and very cold during the night, and I would definitely not be driving a car. This argument for the individual can be extended to our household, then to our neighborhood, then our city, our state, and finally we realize that trade between countries is simply the logical extension of the same division of labor argument. This means that if we feel that we should not limit individuals from working wherever they want, and we should not limit them spending their income on whatever goods and services that they want, then we should probably not restrict trade. That is, if we feel that we should not limit the free exchange of goods and services between people living in a single country, unless there is some really good and specific justification, then there is no obvious reason to limit trade between countries unless there is some specific reason for doing so. Of course, we will need to discuss what some specific reasons for limiting free trade and the free exchange of goods and services might be later, but the basic argument is that as long as the government provides the basic legal framework within which people can operate and make decisions, we should allow people to make those decisions without restrictions. Okay, so perhaps we agree that allowing people to trade freely is a good idea as long as there are no compelling reasons for restricting such free exchange. But what should each of us do? That is, divisional labor allows us to specialize, and such specialization allows us to consume more if we are allowed to trade with others. But what should we specialize in? Well, once again, Adam Smith had a suggestion, and he argued that individuals and countries should specialize and export goods that they can produce more efficiently than others. That is, a country should produce and export those goods that it can produce the most efficiently, and then import goods and services that other countries produce most efficiently. This will lead to higher levels of world output, which in turn will allow all countries to consume more. There is nothing wrong with this argument per se, but it is too restrictive. What if I'm not the most efficient at producing anything, which is undoubtedly true? Or what if a country is not the most efficient at producing any good or any service? If this is the case, should countries still trade with each other? Can a country benefit from trading with another country that is absolutely worse at producing everything? Or alternatively, how can a country ever compete against a country that can produce everything more efficiently? This is a question that David Ricardo asked himself, and the answer led to the theory of comparative advantage. The theory of comparative advantage is amazing, and it indicates that all countries will benefit from international trade, whether they are the most efficient at everything or the least efficient at everything. The reason is that it is not absolute efficiency, as claimed by Adam Smith, that matters. Rather, it is relative efficiency. That is, it is not the absolute cost that determines the pattern and benefits from international trade, it is the opportunity cost. A country can be the most efficient at producing textiles and still import textiles from other countries. This makes sense if the country is even more efficient at producing other goods, like airplanes. If this is the case, then it is better to devote our resources to producing airplanes and then trade airplane for textile. The key concept to understand is this. Any country can obtain any product, like textiles, in two different ways. Either directly through domestic production or indirectly by producing a different good, like producing an airplane and then trading for textile. The best, most efficient way to obtain textiles is the way that gets the country the most textiles for the least cost. That is, they obtain textiles by giving up the least amount of their own scarce resources.